Okay, so I hope you guys can hear me. Hello, everyone. You are welcome to episode 7 of our online courses. This is the how to classes. In the how to classes, we learn so many things. We learn how to use certain kind of applications to make really nice things or things that we can sell or products that we can sell as a business or someone who is just starting out. So, to everyone who has always been a part of these classes, you guys are fantastic. I want to say thank you so much for your time and the showing up of the classes. Now, for a recap of all the classes that we have had, we started with the TikTok shop classes, and also this would be the third episode or the third part of the this particular classes, and we are learning to use the Canva tool to create pretty simple products that we can use and or sell for other people or an audience. So if you are a first timer here, you're welcome. If you are returning, thank you so much for your time. I take absolutely nothing for granted. To those who are just getting, you just got in tune with my channel today. Thank you so much. I take absolutely nothing for granted. Pardon me, I had to have pre-scheduled this event. I don't know. I knew that I put up a notice on the community post or community tab, but then I just realized that I didn't schedule it. So, pardon me. Next time I would schedule as I take absolutely nothing for granted. Thank you so much for your time, for all the for just the opportunities to be a part of this. I'm saying thank you. Let me know where you're joining from in the comments, and let me know how well these teachings have also helped you. Let me know what you'll be trying out as well. For those who will join or those who would watch this much later. And so you guys are absolutely welcome. Call me Mo. You're welcome. Thank you for joining. I am a business owner and I often share business related content as well. Recently, I started the online classes, which is free to join. These classes help us to create products that we can sell for either our communities or just for ourselves. You guys are welcome. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions in the comment. You can access some of my resources on the link via the link in my bio. And if you have any questions and you want to leave me a question, you can always send me an email at latervision thoughts at reachout@litavision.com. I will definitely respond to your emails. And so today we are going to continue our classes with Canva. This will be the third part of the classes. The first classes I talked about the general features of the Canva tool. Last week we did talk about how to create simple digital content. We were able to create simple thumbnail using Canva. And today we are going to be creating a product, how to design a t-shirt. I know that clothing is an essential of life. Out of the basic things of life, you have food, clothing, and shelter. Clothing is an essential, thing of life, and it's easy to create or design a t-shirt in Canva, and then probably make it into something that you would use for yourself, or perhaps you could also sell so that others could, so that you could also make money by selling to others. Now, I have to specify that this is not intended as any form of advert for Canva, and you have to also understand that it's not intended for any sort of advert or Canva. It's only a class that you could earn or you could learn something new by using Canva. I believe that the skill to use certain tools is very, very important these days. And those that skill could help us in making more money, becoming, that person that we want to be. And most importantly, just helping us through all of our processes. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions in the comments. Elite, thank you so much for your comment. I see it's kind of negative, but keep it coming. thank you so much. If you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions in the comments. I'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. And just make this as interactive as possible. So I'm going to have a quick recap of what we discussed last week. So I'm going to just go in, and we are going to be learning how to use Canva. You could also access some of my digital products on Etsy. You can always find the link on my bio. Also check out, oh, thank you for the likes. Also check out some of my content. I believe that my content will help as far as if you're that person who is looking to make money online and you want to have simple ways to make money. I also have to add that the measures in which I have shared in some of those videos, or all of the videos I would see on my platform, are measures I use myself. And thank God those measures have worked for me in making money online. So you could always, you know, go through those videos, and if you find them desirable, look them up and learn one or two things. But for the live classes, we will be teaching a number of things, and if you find them desirable, so we're going to be making a t-shirt. Don't mind the chicken right in front of the shirt. We're making a t-shirt, how you can design t-shirts, and I'm also going to be talking about where you can sell these t-shirts, what platforms you can sell, how you can sell them, and how easy it is to make. I'm also going to add some additional things that you might want to know. Hopefully, it will also help us out. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions. I did say earlier that this is not an advert for Canva in any way, and these classes are free classes. They are only intended to educate people. So if you also believe that you want to make this as interactive as possible, please do. And if you have questions as well, feel free to leave your questions in the comments. And so we're going to be designing a t-shirt. Now, before I get into it, let me just have go into the elements, or let me see. Let me go into create a new design. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is now we are going to customize the size of the t-shirts. Let's see, not the size now, the dimensions of the print. So let's just assume that I'm going to just put a t-shirt image on a blank surface, and then I'll show you how you get to do it. There are two ways in which you can create t-shirts. Let me start with that. You can create your designs in Canva, or you could decide to create your designs on another platform. Now, t-shirts or virtual t-shirts are easy to do. For instance, if you are into print-on-demand businesses, you can easily create your t-shirts either in Printify or Printful or some other print-on-demand platforms, and then you can easily add that shirt to your shop or your website. I personally prefer a situation where I can sell physical products. And what that does for me is I can design my t-shirts. I know the dimensions I want to use, design my t-shirts. And once I've designed those t-shirts, I can send them to print them out physically, and then sell them as physical products on my platform, whether I'm selling via my website or I'm selling via my business premises. So in all, what am I saying? You can sell your t-shirts in either of two ways. You could sell as a print-on-demand product, or you could sell as a physical product. Now, there are different platforms where you could sell as print-on-demand. Even Amazon also offers that. But I also have to mention that some stores currently are kicking against print-on-demand products. So you want to be careful with the kind of stores you want to, put your products on. But today's class is not about the sale aspect. It's about the creation or creativity aspect of the shirt. I often always emphasize the importance of dimensions. You guys are welcome. Let me know where you're joining from. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions in the comments. I often emphasize the importance of dimensions. And understanding dimensions in Canva will take us a long way. So let me say we want to say, I just want to design let me put a logo page on there. So I'm just going to make the designs. Let's just assume that the dimensions of the logo is what we're going to use for our shirt. I often say that it is important to understand dimensions of t-shirts. Now, if you want to create a a design on a plain t-shirt, you have to understand how you want the designs to appear on the final product, not just on what you are designing. And so when you understand how the design is going to appear on the final product, it will help you specifically in measuring the dimensions of your designs, because your dimensions of a design is going to go directly on that shirt. So know the size of shirts, know the you have to understand the sizes, the measurements of the part you want the print. Thank you so much for the likes. You have to understand the measurements of the part you want the print to stay. You could decide to put the print right in front of the shirt, or behind the shirt, or on the sleeves of the shirt, or below the shirt, whichever place you want to. They have dimensions for it. So how do you get easy dimensions? Go online, use a chat tool or an LLM. For instance, use a chat GPT just to ask questions, or you want to make print on a particular shirt. Um, you want to print on the sleeves of your t-shirt. What dimension should you use? You would get the details of that dimension easily. And thankfully, Canva is a fantastic tool that offers several sort of dimensions. Now, for instance, if you give you here, when you click on Canva, you click on customize, you can decide to have your dimensions in inches. So whatever dimensions you get, I mean the measurements, you can easily put it in Canva. So let's say we are doing let's see, let's say we are doing a 5 by 7. So let's do 5 or 8 by 9. So let's say we are doing 8 by 11, for instance. 8 by 11, you create a new design. And so let's assume that the dimension you're using is an 8 by 11 dimension. You create a simple design. So I'm doing this um, as a generic rule, because sometimes people just want to print small prints on the upper part of their shirts and they don't want to do too much. Other times people want to print something so full on the shirt. Sometimes it's just something pretty little. So most importantly, once you understand the dimensions, you can create whatsoever kind of print you want on your t-shirt. And something about t-shirts also is that oftentimes I've found that the print dimensions for the front part of the shirt are often, in most cases, the same measurement. So you don't have to stress yourself about having different forms. And also that applies to the arms as well. And then also the sleeves rather. But there are instances where you want to have really large prints. So you have to know why you are doing those large prints and how you want to do your measurements and your dimensions. So again, it's easy. Just go on any of the LLMs. Go on Gemini. Go on ChatGPT. Any of them, they would give you all the details. And depending on what area you want to print your shirt and want to put the print on, they will give you the details of the dimensions, and you can easily go into Canva and customize those dimensions and then begin your designs. I also have to add that if you want to sell those shirts, or you are into print on demand and you want to transfer those prints or those shirts on a print on demand platform. From my own uses of some print on demand platforms, there are certain limitations to the designs that you want to make, or you decide to make. Sometimes you can't easily make full designs on some platforms. For instance, you want to make a full blown front designs for your shirt. Sometimes those platforms don't offer that. So you want to be sure of the kind of platforms that you are using. So for me, I often prefer to just create my designs, print my products, have them as physical products, and then sell them on whatsoever platform or marketplace that I have. I also have to mention that shirt business is a really, really good business that gives you really good turnover. You could decide to, for instance, if you're selling it as a print on demand product, you could decide to have or find yourself a really good product on one of those platforms. And then when you find that product, you have to do a markup price with your designs and all. And then if you think that the prices are comfortable for you, you go ahead, design, and then send it off to your store or to your website and sell as a print on demand product. Other times, what I have found to be easiest for me, and again, it all depends on you, because there are several advantages that you get with a print on demand product. One of which is no need for inventories. You can easily just create your product and then sell them as mock-ups, and then the print on demand company does the printing for you and you still make your money. That's one thing. But for me, I prefer to sell physical products for so many reasons. Why? Because I want to be sure of how my product is being sold to my customer, and I want my customer to have a feel of how I provide my services. And so I prefer to have my products, in physical form. Then again, like I said, it all depends on your preferences. Now, let's now go into the designing. Let's now say that, for instance, we want to design just something really simple, nothing so technical, and we want to sell them. It is very important that when you're on Canva, you have to be sure of the kind of designs you are making. There are certain rules on Canva that you should not break. So, and some of the designs and or the elements that you would use in creating your designs on Canva cannot be sold or used for commercial purpose unless you abide by the principles and rules on Canva. I usually like to emphasize the importance of abiding by rules of platforms, because if we went outside those rules, the likelihood of you having an issue is pretty high, particularly legal issues. So you do not want to go through all that stress. So it's important that you, first of all, you are sure that the elements you want to use to design that shirt is an element you can use and you can also combine with other things. Another platform rule on Canva is that you have to ensure that your you have to ensure that another rule on Canva is that you want to ensure that you can put all of these designs together. Now, if you haven't doing the design yourself, you can always subcontract it. There are platforms that have incredible and amazing graphic designers whom you can reach out to, and they will definitely help you, but definitely comes at a fee. But if you want to do this yourself, you can put up so many things together in Canva and come up with a unique design. The keyword here is unique. You do not also want to do designs that look similar to existing trademarks or existing designs that do have a copyright or a trademark right on them. You do not want to have any issues with organizations who might own those rights, who might own those trademarks or rights. Another thing you also want to ensure is that when you're using any of the elements or the things that you're using on Canva, you are not infringing on the rules that Canva has set. So since we have cleared that, let's go into the design. So let's say, for instance, you want to make a shirt that has your face on it. We can do any sort of design. These days, AI tools and technology have really aided growth and improvement in designing, and we understanding and enjoying what designing is. I have to give this background before I get into the design so that people can understand better. Now, I can easily decide that I want to print my face on my t-shirt. All I need to do is to make a photo of myself, probably send it to an LLM and convert it, or even an image generating tool, and convert it to a cartoon image of mine, and I can easily put that on my t-shirt. It's easy. But let's just say you want to design a t-shirt for someone who is going to be a graduate now. So let's see. People are going to be graduating in the month of June. So let's see what we can do for someone who is a graduate. We don't necessarily have to put the person's photo. So we just want to say congratulations. So the first thing I'm going to do is to go into the elements. Let's not forget that I already have the dimensions of the shirt, how I want the design to be on the shirt. So I have this dimension. And then once I have it, I will export it and then put it on my t-shirt. So let's say I have, this is the print. This is the dimension of the front part of my shirt. And what I want to just do is create a congratulatory shirt for someone that is graduating this summer. And so I go on elements, and I'm going to look for something that talks about celebrations. Um, So I'll look for something that says celebrations or congratulations. So let me go into congratulations. Don't let's forget that I can also do congratulations. Don't forget that we can also decide to put the photo of the person, you know. So let's go into graphics. So we've seen a number of congratulation elements. Now, the error we would be making is if we just decide to take this and then put it on the shirt and say, this is what we are printing. We could be infringing one of the rules of Canva. You just don't take elements and post it like that and then, print it. We are going to be infringing on some of the rules of Canva. So what can we do to make it even more, unique to what we are creating? So let's just say that we want to create it for that person. We can decide to either put the person's photo and then have a congratulations, or you can decide to make it abstract. Abstract could be, let's see, I have congratulations here, and I can decide to just add more elements to it in order to personalize it the way I want it to. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to try to find something. Okay, so I'm going to change this element. I'm going to put something. Now, I also have to mention that just like I had always said, Canva has allows you to have you can always access the free versions of Canva, and those free versions you can also decide to what's the word now? Um, you can also upgrade or personalize those designs. The key is make sure that whatever design you're creating is unique to you, whether you are using a paid version of Canva or a free version. Again, it goes back to your creativity, level of creativity. And the good thing about this is you could see something that inspires your designs and then, build on it. Don't just copy, and build on it. So we are saying congratulations now. So this is like a conversation box, and I'm going to now look for something else that is going to make it really look really good. So let me see if I can try to get a talking emoji or an emoticon, whichever one. So I'm just going to try to see something that would look like what I want. I'm just going to say something that will look like what I want. If you have any questions, feel free to leave your questions in the comments. So I might decide to go graphics, or let me see if I can get animation. No, I don't need animation. I don't need animation. Um, I might get a let me just get a graphic, and if I'm unable to get a graphic, I can decide to generate. So Canva has everything that you need. You could generate, you can do a lot of things. So let's just see if I would use a laughter emoji. So let's put this in here, and everyone is happy. And okay, so because this emoji is covering my congratulatory word, what do I want to do? I'm going to now go into the layering aspect of this tool. So I will click on the three dots above and then look at the layers. So I have layers here. So I'm going to take this backwards so that the words can appear forward. So I'm going to send backwards. So you see my congratulations is right in front. And I can also decide to reduce the size of this so that it seems as though someone is talking. So it doesn't necessarily have to come out that way. So I can move it on the side and adjust it as much as I please. Canva is a pretty simple tool that we can use. And I can decide to just print this simple design on my t-shirt, and you know and if I also want to mention the person's name, all I need to do is just to create a text box and then write the person's name. So let's say, for instance, congratulations YouTube. Maybe that's the person's name, or Toby. Let me go into the text box and just put a heading and say congrats Toby. So I'll say Toby, and I can decide to also, customize the font so that it looks more friendly. So I will highlight the font and then go on to the fonts that are available. I want something really friendly, so I might use the Brittany font, or I look for something friendly, more friendly, or something just fun. Let me see if I could do a robo, or and Arial, whatsoever you want to use. So let me just go with Brittany. And also, because I do have a sort of what's it called, pixel form of writing here, so I might want to just make the Toby more pixel like. So I'll just look for something. I look for a font that looks like a pixel and or comic, so I can add that to it, and it looks like what I want it to be. So whichever font you want to use, it all depends on your preference. Canva is a pretty simple tool that you can use. So I'm just going to, let me stick with my Brittany. So you have several fonts that you can decide to use. And Canva is just pretty simple to use. You could also decide to just write Toby, congrats on that shirt, and you're good to go. You can decide to make your shirt as complicated as you want. You could decide to add several elements together, text, images. Just ensure that once you had done, designing that shirt, you have a unique design. You don't want to design that, or and you don't want to uplift either an element and then put it on that shirt just like that. Canva might come for you. So in order to be able to make the money you want to make, if you are selling this shirt for selling purpose, you want to ensure that the design you're making is not going to be hurting someone else, and most importantly, it's not against the Canva rules. Another thing you could do is, if this design or the design of the shirt you're making is for you, is for personal use, you don't have a problem. But the issue might arise when you decide to sell. You might have an issue with Canva. So again, like I said, you could decide to also subcontract this. But if you are tight on the budget and you just want to create something simple for yourself, you can easily use Canva. You can use the free version. And if it's just that you want to write just the name, you can always delete this and just write congratulations, Toby. Or let's just delete this. This is the dialog box. Let's go back and say just simple congratulations in a simple way. And then we have that. Let's just look for something that says congratulations, and then this is it. We have congratulations, Toby, here, and this could always pass for its simple shirt. I did say earlier that you can always include the person's image. So let's look for a simple image on Canva. So I go on Elements. Now you can do this in either of two ways. If you have the person's photos, you can easily if you are doing this yourself, I have to be emphatic, you can easily just convert that. You can use the um the image itself, but if you want to convert it to probably a cartoonish or a cartoon image, easy, just upload that image on an LLM, whether you're using ChatGPT or you decide to use Perplexity, any one of them, and then they would create a cartoon image for you. The LLM or the AI tool will create a cartoon image for you. So just ensure that you enter in the prompt the kind of image you want created or transformed for that photo. And then once that is done, you can always upload it on Canva and then include that. So let's just assume that we have an image you want to use. So how can we add that to our shirt? So I go on Elements again. Elements have everything. So let me say a happy boy. Let's just say a happy boy. So I can decide to use animation. So let's assume that I have converted my image to a cartoon image, and I look for and I have, please ensure that that image is yours. You can always convert this as well into a design that you want for yourself, but just ensure that you mix a lot of designs together and make something unique. You can't just print um, a you can't just print a Canva print just like that. You would have issues with Canva. So let's just say we have a happy boy here, and then I have some things behind. Give me a second. So this is behind. I have to bring it forward. Layer, bring front. Yeah. So I have. I'm just going to change the color. This is yeah. So I'm just going to bring that down. Okay, let me change the color again. So I can just decide to hack it however I want. So this all depends on your preferences. So I can say this is congratulations, Toby. So let's just assume that this is a photo of the person you decided to create on that, on your shirt. Then, or you could decide to use, let's say, real photos of the person. So let's assume that you are using a real photo of the person. So let's go back. We'll find photos. You'll find styles here. Um, pardon me, I'm coming. So we are doing happy boy. So what you want to know is that um, Canva has all the tools that you need. And now let's see, who is a happy boy here? This is a really beautiful happy boy. So what we can do with this is we can decide to change the background. So let's assume that we are using a real photo. And then this is the photo we are using. And you want to remove some elements from the background. You have the background removal tool on Canva. Click on it and it will remove the background and leave the main image that you want. You can see what we have. So let me delete the other photos, other stuffs, and then I have this. I can decide to minimize this, and then I have the image of the boy just sitting, and that's what we have. So you can decide to now transfer these, and when you want to print this out, you have to print out as a transparent background. I'm not going to download this. I'm just going to show you how to download it. So when you're downloading, you want to have the highest quality. You see a PNG, and then I usually like the highest quality. Then you want to click on transparent background, because if you do not remove the background and make it transparent, what happens is by the time you paste it on that design, the original background, for instance, I have a white background here. That is what you would have, and it will spoil the total output. So you want to have a transparent background and then download. Again, ensure that you increase the size of the quality. The size determines the quality, and then you go, don't compress it. Then you want to click on transparent background before you download, and then when you download, you are able to have your design. You paste it on the shirt that you have, probably within the application of the print on demand company you are using. Or if you are printing yourself, you print within your printer and then you have a finished product. So creating shirts are pretty simple and they are easy. Probably in next class, once I'm done with the Canva classes, I will teach how to sell on the platforms in which you can sell. These are platforms I currently use, and how you can upscale your sales as well. But generally, the Canva tool is pretty easy to use, and you don't have to expend too much to use Canva. Again, this is not an advert for Canva. It's just a class I usually have. And currently, we are on the third episode of how to use Canva to make designs. From next week, we would talk about other products that you can create using Canva. One thing you also want to note is that it is important to understand dimensions. Once you understand dimensions in Canva, you can create about anything. And even if you do not have the full knowledge of the dimensions, we have tools that you could use. Just look up information on dimensions. Depending on what you want to create, you'll be able to have the measurements, and then you go on Canva, customize your measurements and put in the dimensions, and you're good to go. I believe that it is important that we continue to cultivate or learn to use these tools. They would really help us in the coming future, and they are easy to use. And the more you continue to use them, the better you become at them. So these are easy tools. Again, I would just say dimensions are important. How do you start with the dimensions you want to, for instance, customizing for this design? I only assume a particular dimension. There are dimensions for shirts. But again, let's also not forget that people want prints at different angles of their shirt. So there are different dimensions for those angles. So if, for instance, you want to print on the sleeves of your shirts, just enter into a ChatGPT or any other LLM and say, "Oh, what is the dimension for printing on the sleeves of a t-shirt?" You have the information. And then what you want to do is to customize it on Canva, and then you enter the details, and that is done. There's also dimensions for the front or the back from any part of the shirt you want to print on. So that's why I decided to use a generic measurement, just to understand how the dimensions work. So it's not really a big deal. Once you know how to get it, you are good to go. And then in Canva, you also want to be sure of how you use the elements, not all elements. Like for instance, I will be infringing or violating some Canva rules if I decided to just take the image of this boy and then paste and print it out as a design on my shirt. I will be violating Canva rules, and it can even hurt my shop if I decided to sell. So what you want to do is the designs you want to put together, ensure that they are designs that they are unique. You could use all the elements you want to use on Canva. Nobody cares, but ensure that you create something that is unique for yourself, particularly if you are selling. If you aren't selling, it's not a big deal. If it's just you using it, it's not a big deal. Personal use is not, Canva doesn't have issues with personal use. The issue arises when you decide to sell those products that you aren't, making in a unique form or manner. And then one other thing we want to also note is the combination of your elements. Elements are they come in different ways. Now I have to mention that if you decided to generate elements, so for instance you do not have the kind of elements you want and you want to create something unique, so you go into Magic Media and you decide to create say let me delete this. So let's say we want to create a Toby. So we want to create something like looks like a dodo and say a cross between a dodo and an eagle. So let's give an instance. I can decide to go in styles and I want to say I want to use a photo model, or I can decide to say I want to use an anime. So let me say create something, a mix between a dodo bird and a bald eagle. So let's see what's going to happen. So we'll generate this and we'll make this into something simple. See how Canva simply generates images, and you could decide to have your images in 3D. So we see a combination of a dodo bird and a bald eagle. Um, so this is just a generation. But the thing about the Canva generated images is you can use it howsoever you want, but the laws, the policies also stipulate that um, you will be surprised that it's not just unique to you. Other people could create something similar and come up with something so similar. So in essence, you can't have copyright ownership over it, even though you can use them for commercial purposes, but you can't say you totally own them because other people could generate something close to it and it would almost come out the same. So that's just the issue with the what's it called now? We generated images on Canva. So let's see this. This actually looks good. You can decide to create this and print it, print it and sell for yourself, because the Canva rules allow you to create, you can generate images and then sell them, but you can't totally own copyright over them because those images might not be unique to you. Somebody else can create them and it becomes something that is almost generic, but you can use them because prompts according to the law are seen as things that you created yourself. You own the prompt. You were the one that conceived of the prompt, so whatever image that came out of it is owned by you. However, the image does not totally confer or does not confer copyright on you in any way, but you can use them for whatsoever you want to use them for. So for me, what I usually try to do is to play it safe. Sometimes when I have the elements I want to use on Canva, I know what I want to create. I put those elements together and I'm good to go. Other times, if I don't have those elements, I just choose to either import my images from another LLM or a photo or image generating platform, or I decide to just do what I want to do on Canva because the rules are probably the same, and then I import and I create what I want to create. So for instance, if I want to just create just this shirt alone, having say Toby. I'd say this is Toby. I can also decide to remove the background of this, the background image of this. So let's remove the background as well. Click on background removal, and I have just a simple shirt. And I can decide to enlarge this. Maybe I'm going to print this out. I kind of like this. I can just decide to enlarge this and then name my, okay, so I have my Toby behind. So I'm going to bring this forward. So I click on the three dots and I look at layering and I say bring front, right? So I have brought that to the front. So I can just enlarge my Toby and call my shirt Toby, or call my bird a Toby. I call it a combination of a dodo and a bald eagle. So I call it Toby. And I can decide to print this as a shirt, print it out as a shirt, and we are good to go. So this lesson is going to end in about 2 minutes. I want to say thank you to everyone who did join. I hope you learned something from this, and I hope it's something that you would definitely try out. Again, I am not talking about where I have not talked about where you can sell this. Maybe it's another class I'm going to organize for that, but you can always try this out, and it is a fantastic space to start. If you feel so inclined to give this video a like, feel free to give it a like. And if you also want to learn some of the other things I learned to make money, I have some videos online that you can also check out. If you want to send me an email, you can send me an email at reachout@lit@vision.com. You can always find my email on linked to my bio, and you can also check out my resources on other platforms. You find that also linked to my bio. Thank you so much to everyone who did join. The classes continues on Monday next week. We have it on a weekly basis where we learn something new. I would share in advance what we will be learning or teaching in the next class, but I hope you did find value in this class. I want to say thank you again for joining. Thank you for your time, and thank you so much. Nothing, absolutely nothing taken for granted. Have a wonderful day today, and try hard making a shirt. Bye bye.